Stephanie Miller welcomes Michael Steele to the program. Michael, as many of you remember, was the chairman of the Republican Party not too many years ago, but now doesn't even recognize the current GOP. Here's Stephanie with their conversation.
Well, maybe I'm better off losing the debate. I'll make sure he says I'll lose the debate on purpose. Maybe I'll do something like that.
I assume he's going to be somebody that will be a worthy debater.
Should I be tough and nasty and just say you're the worst president in history? Or should I be nice and calm and let him speak?
Let me ask you a question, Stephanie. How did we get away from it? How do we break that cycle? I mean, you've got polls right now that show 48% of Americans prefer Donald Trump over Joe Biden.
That's depressing.
Where do you think this changes? I mean, people think Donald Trump is magically not going to get elected president, or Joe Biden will magically not become president or become president? No. Voters have to just make that decision. And what they're telling us is, I prefer the insurrectionists because I'm upset that, gas prices aren't as low as they were before COVID. Yeah. Or inflation is higher than it was before COVID. Well, yeah, we spent a lot of money to save your COVID from getting COVID.
Yeah, yeah. And gas was a penny because no one was going anywhere, and we were wiping our coffee filters because Donald Trump.
And but here's the kicker. When inflation was damn near 10%, and gas prices were $7, $8, $9 a gallon, people didn't stop going on vacations.
Yeah.
They packed up their kids last summer and they got in their cars and they wouldn't enjoy themselves. I don't know what they're complaining about.
Exactly. It's just, I think it's a story of cowardice, the Republican Party today, mostly. Rick Stengel said, it figures you despite being a dictator when you were such an inept failure as a Democratic chief executive. No wall, fewer jobs than when you started, mishandling a pandemic, outfoxed by China and North Korea. I mean, I don't, for the life of me, Michael, get what people would be voting. Do they really just hate us that much? It's just really about owning the libs? Because I think it was Tom Nichols tweeted, we're in a world now where apparently reality doesn't matter. Doesn't the new jobs numbers today that were so good and all none of it seems to, reality doesn't seem to matter. His horrible record in office.
People are seeing more pay in their checks. People are going back to work. There are shovel-ready projects that are well underway in jurisdiction after jurisdiction around the country, and yet everyone is sitting there in this malaise like it's god-awful. What was it, 56% of Americans think the economy sucks. 70-some% think the country's going in the wrong direction. And I'm like, so let me get this straight. You're driving down a road in which there's a cliff at the end. And the person that's trying to steer the car off of that path and move it in a different direction, you think that's the wrong direction. And my fear is that come next November, yes, we are a year out, and all of that. And I don't, for that reason, rely too exclusively on national polling right now, because it is not necessarily an indicator of what voters are going to do, because if it were, there would have been this massive red wave in 2022. Mm-hmm. Look, I know this party is a show. I mean, I know that.
Thank you.
I'm not sitting here blindly, thinking, oh, it's all going to get better tomorrow. Tomorrow. No, it's not. That's not how it works.
Are you singing a song from Annie? See, right there. Show tunes in the Republican Party. No.
I know, right?
I mean, Michael, this party, as we've talked about, is just completely unrecognizable from any party that you or my dad led, I think.
Absolutely.
We played Steny Hoyer on Ukraine, and I read a tweet. Russian channels are on fire today with celebratory talk of U.S. Congress blocking assistance to Ukraine. Russians debate surviving Ukrainians after the inevitable seizure of the country. I don't think it's hyperbole. Your party are friends with America's enemies. They are doing Putin's bidding.
I'm not friends with those guys. They don't talk to me. They don't acknowledge me.
So why don't you come fully to the light? Why do you? I know you're the man of steel, but let me bend you to my will. Just let me.
Are you kidding me? I'm sitting there watching Democrats chew on the one guy who could kick Donald Trump's ass, and they're pissed off that he's old.
Yeah.
The old guy can kick the other old guys.
Oh, I yell at the bedwetters every day, Michael.
You know, so
and
I don't have time for stupid.
Yes.
I deal with enough of it inside my own camp. I'm not going to move into another camp and deal with a whole nother level of stupid. So here's my thing. My thing is to make where I am as right as I can. There are a number of us who are working in this space, creating the off ramps that are going to be necessary. We know this thing collapses. It does not sustain itself. But there's got to be something else that's viable for Americans to consider. And that's really what I'm working on. And a lot of us are working on. You know, you don't expect a Liz Cheney to suddenly become a Democrat. That's just not rational.
Yeah.
Right? At
least you've been honest enough to tell me that you are the scorpion that's going to sting me when we get to the other side of the fascism river.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
But when I do, baby, you're going to like it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good sting.
It's kind of hot when you say it. Do you think my love for you is more my daddy issues or your raw animal magnetism? What do you think it is?
I think, that combination, we both need a psychiatrist.
All right. You quoted Liz Cheney, who said Trump is not an acceptable alternative. He is not the lesser of two evils. He is a completely unfit man for office. He's already shown us what he would do. He can never be near the Oval Office again. And you just said amen and amen. And much like you, Liz Cheney is wrong about every other single thing in the world. But you're right. She is... that it is not hyperbole to say we are facing fascism, authoritarianism, a religious theocracy. If you want to talk about your new speaker saying that he's Moses, and attorney generals in Texas think they don't have to, abide by a judge's order and can tell a woman whether, she can have life-saving health care. I mean, how is this the small government party anymore, Michael?
It's not. And the thing. And while I appreciate the political point you're making, the reality of it is Mike Johnson is not my speaker. He's our speaker. And he's our speaker because the majority of Americans put the Republicans in charge of the House.
Barely.
And so, well, I mean...
You're doing a good job winnowing it down yourselves.
No, but what I'm saying is, the raw number is 3 votes or 4 votes, but the congressional district number, if this presidential election gets pushed to the House... Yeah. Democrats don't win.
Maybe I'm better off losing the debate. I'll make sure he stays. I'll lose the debate on purpose. Maybe I'll do something like that.
I assume he's going to be somebody that will be a worthy debater.
Should I be tough and nasty and just say you're the worst president in history? Or should I be nice and calm and let him speak?